Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today I have a presentation and final project for effective reading instruction and organization, grades K through 12. What we're talking about today is the science of reading. As you can see here on the first slide, what we now know is humans were not born to read. Reading comprehension is a product of your language comprehension. The words you know how to say, the words you can hear, and your decoding ability. So what we have as far as the science of reading is combined evidence over some say 20 to 50 years of what we know that matters in reading literacy and what we know that works in literacy instruction. And so what they've done is they've developed models around what we know have worked through the years of research, and we give the how and the why. So it's important, as you can see, because the main focus is we move away from the older models that we used to use, the memorization, the correlation with the picture to the word and things like that, and we focus on highlighted elements that have been pinpointed that we know are important and relate directly to success in literacy instruction. And to start with those, we have 5 elements of reading instruction. Listed there are phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension strategies. When we're discussing phonemic awareness, it's the ability to hear and manipulate the individual sounds within the words. So, sounds within the words are phonemes. Therefore, if you know the sounds, you're technically phonemic aware. What we focus on are the sounds and not the letters. That's being the big key there. It's not memorizing letters of the words. We're going to solely focus on the sounds. Listed 3 different practices: phoneme segmentation, phoneme deletion, phoneme substitution. Segmentation would be to break down all the sounds of a word. So if we were starting with the basic words, so we said dog, we would be looking at d, g, therefore having that. If we were going to do with deletion, if we had a word glad and we took away the g sound, then we would have lad, be an example of phoneme deletion. Phoneme substitution, if we had the word big and we changed the B to a D, we would therefore have dig. So we're aware of those sounds and we're able to create new words from what we already know. Phonics, again, the definition, method that helps students relate spoken sounds to written symbols. Phonics is basically a decoding, so it's learning a process that gives us the ability to decode, so we can not use it on one single word, but multiple syllable words in the beginning of our reading throughout the entirety of our reading learning. The instructional practices there are blending, hierarchical blending, and sequential segmenting. Blending, again, is just breaking down the sounds and combining the 3 sounds. If we were in a 3-letter word, cat, if we broke down the sounds ka, a, ta, we blended those sounds together, would give us cat. Hierarchical blending is multiple syllable words. If we had a verb such as confirm, we have the 2 vowels in there, so we could have the first set as con, firm as the second, and then we would sound out ka, n, and then fa, m, and then put the 2 words together, con, firm. That would be an example of hierarchical blending. And then sequential segmenting. What we have there is we stretch out the word to try and figure out how to write the word. So again, if we were going to say fun, we would count the sound f, n. We would try to relate the sound that we know with the letter that we know to get that sound. Fluency, the ability to read text aloud with accurate speed, proper expression. Fluency means is that we are able to decode easily. We can read with the appropriate volume, appropriate expression, intonation. We know the context in which it's read. We have the rapid speed, not too fast, not too slow. The instructional practices for those, we've got model reading fluency, reading practice, and wide repeating. With the model, this is what we expose the children to, whether in school or at home, and it's the way that reading should sound. So by our voice, our level, our expressions that we use, and the pace that we read with. Reading practice, exactly as it states. We found that they need more time and more opportunities to read. We have to have that practice in several times to read throughout the day, and possibly at home if we can. Wide and repeated is going to be what we need is a wide array of text to read. Newspaper, books, research articles, poetry, narratives, and we also want to get into the different genres as well. Fantasy, sci-fi, historical, and then that allows us to give new words, new vocabulary they're going to be exposed to. Vocabulary itself, as we all know, people tend to blend this with everything. It's the knowledge of the words, including structure, use, and meaning. But along with vocabulary, there are 4 types of vocabulary. Listening is the largest and made up of the words we hear and understand. So as we're children learning to speak. Speaking, words we not only we speak, but we use them appropriately when speaking. That's being a key. Reading are the words we identify, not only identify, but understand as we read. And writings are also words, just like speaking, that we know how to use them properly when we do write. So directly and incidentally, we learn directly by, here's a word, here's its definition. That's a form of directly. And then we can connect new words with words that we already know. Indirect is if we are reading, if we are learning, if we do hear people say, then we pick up on those words and we incidentally or indirectly, however you want to put it, learn new words. Context determines word meanings. This is knowing the core definition and how that word varies according to the text. Example, so if we have the word run, it can mean to move fast, or if we're talking about machinery, it can mean to operate. So the context will determine the actual meaning. Multiple meaningful exposures. This is, we don't only need to see it, we don't only need to read it, we don't only need to hear it. We need all the exposure types out there, and we need them while reading new and varied text. So we want to read, hear, and use those words. Comprehension strategies, understanding and interpreting what was read. This is, the reader is doing the comprehending, the text is the reading material, the purpose is what comprehension task or skill the reader is attempting to perform. There's all different levels of the reader actually comprehending what they know. So a few of the instructional practices: using graphic and semantic organizers, question and answering techniques, and summarizing. When we're talking about graphic and semantic organizers, this is text structure, focuses on physical features. So say an author, if we're in a book, we're going to look at the table of contents, the chapter headings and subheadings, the paragraph organization, and any visual aids that they may have. We're also, with the semantic organizer, we're going to learn about, are they talking about the beginning, the middle, or the end of a story. Question and answering techniques are used to help students remember what they've read. They'll have to review what they've read to find answers. They may have to review across several chapters, different books, to find those answers. And so it's going to have them actually thinking about what they read to get those answers. And when we summarize, it's very similar in that manner, is that the readers will select and store the content of relevant information that they have from their memory. And this allows them to have to really think as they read to know what they're going to say. So they'll really take it in and completely understand what they're reading, hopefully. Now what we're going to talk about is a 5-block writing essentials model. So as you can see, it's laid out in writing, fluency, comprehension, word, small group, differentiated reading, instruction. when we're talking about writing, we're looking at the 30-minute block, and is a whole group instruction focused on core elements of the school's curriculum, how to create different forms of writing such as poetry and narration. Creative writing tasks are used to engage and develop writers. Our next is going to be fluency. That will be another 30-minute. The first 10 minutes, the teacher will explain a model or aspect of fluency, including accuracy, rate, and expression. The remaining time is going to be used for automaticity, which is decoding, sight words, recognize, and write letters. Comprehension is, again, the whole group, 30 minutes. It's a strategy, why it's important, and how we use it. After introducing it to the class, we'll let students learn individually by answering questions in support of answers by the students. The word work will be another 30-minute whole group focused on recognizing and decoding words, as well as word structures and meanings. We'll teach suffix, prefix, singular, and plural forms. Our small group is going to be the reading instruction practice. So what we will do is we'll give students options for taking in information, because not every student learns the same. So we need to be flexible on our needs, or the students' needs, and flexible on our approach to how we go about grouping students together and changing the way we teach so that everyone can learn. And how does the 5-block method tie it all together? The framework for the 5-block ensures the 5 essential components that have been researched, which are phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension strategies, and they're built into the classroom instruction. It's given the teacher a method that is created from the research on the science of reading. It is directly correlated with the science of reading, and therefore everything ties in together in the end. This is the end of my presentation. References. Thank you guys for your time.